This program contains true stories of rescues. All of the 911 calls you will hear are real. Whenever possible, the actual people involved have helped us reconstruct the events as they happened.
Most of us trust that the world we live in is basically safe. But when that trust is betrayed, we may only have a moment to make a life or death decision. I'm William Shatner. Tonight, true stories of quick thinking in the face of danger on Rescue 911. We begin in suburban Texas, where 5 years of growing problems finally came to a head for one family on July 20th of this year. Actors portraying the family members have helped us reconstruct the chain of events that followed. Late in the afternoon, a woman we will call Susan went by her 78-year-old mother's house to check up on her.
I left work, and for some reason I didn't come straight home. And my mother lives very close to me, and I stopped that day. I'm not sure why.
Susan had been uneasy ever since her son had been released from a state mental institution 9 days earlier. She had committed him after several incidents of violence and threats to kill the family. Now he was out and threatening to buy a gun.
How tall is your grandson? 5'2". Okay.
Officer Regina Joseph had taken the police report from Susan's mother.
Goodness, are you all right?
She was frightened, and she was very concerned because Jimmy had a gun, and my mother had a bump on her head. He had knocked her down and hit her. And Mother just instinctively grabbed the phone and dialed 911. As soon as he saw her dial the numbers, he ripped the phone out of the wall, and he left.
The mother was particularly concerned about the son because he did state to her that he would kill a police officer. I put out over our car computer the aggravated assault and the description of the grandson, also the vehicle information as being a 1980 yellow Chevy pickup with a camper.
I called my daughter at work. I told her that he had been to my mother's and had assaulted her, and that he had a gun, and that he was psychotic, and that he was looking for the rest of us.
Susan's daughter hurried home to get a few things before going to stay with a friend.
I think it was very hard for Martha because at that point, Martha realized that she had been mistaken about the severity of his illness. I think we all thought he would come for me first because I was the one who had initiated the commitment proceedings, and I was the one he had initially threatened, and Martha had been his advocate. I don't think it ever occurred to her that he would hurt her. She was hyperventilating and just terrified, and I could hear him kicking the door. And I told her to hang up, and I called 911.
The call came into 911 at 6:23 p.m.
House emergency safety?
Yes, I need a police officer.
What's the problem, ma'am?
My son is armed and dangerous. We know where he is. He is at my daughter's apartment.
And what was the address there?
This is the phone number. 306. That's the number, where he is.
Okay, what type of call was this, ma'am?
She answered an aggravated assault call on my son. He's schizophrenic.
Ma'am?
Yes, hold
Can
on.
we call her and get the address from her?
Yes, call her.
Okay, so don't hang up. Don't hang up.
I figured since the mother was in a lot of stress and she was afraid, she could just remember the phone number. And that's why I decided to call that number.
Martha?
Hello?
Get there. He has a gun.
Hello?
Officer.
Where am I supposed to... What's the address, ma'am, please?
Martha, I don't know the address. He's breaking into her apartment. He has a gun. Martha, what's the address?
Hello? Martha, what's the address?
I could hear the alarm. I knew he had broken in. It was making it hard to hear her.
Is he in the apartment? I don't know, Mama. All right. Is the reason you can't let Mama, he shot me. He shot you? He shot me. Where? Please don't crush my hand.
Do you need an ambulance?
Yes.
You need an ambulance?
I think so.
The first police officers to respond were Brian Daglewitz and his partner.
6:23, we received the call. We got an emergency call that there had been a shooting at a location. We were getting information from the 911 dispatcher who was on the phone with the complainant that had been shot, who the suspect was, and a description of the suspect.
It's all right, honey. It's just your hand, Martha. I knew that if anything happened, if I lost her, it maybe didn't matter if he came for me. Where are the police? They'll be there. Wrap something around your hand, hold it higher than your heart. Oh, try and slow your breathing down.
Calm down, Martha. Just slow your breathing down. You're going to be fine. They're underway, okay?
Okay. I remember that I was comfortable enough with the dispatcher that I was able to leave Martha in her care on the phone so that I could get to the hospital faster and be there when she got there.
Why is it taking them so long? They're underway, Martha. Is your name Martha?
Yes.
My name's Martha, too, and your mom kept saying Martha. I thought she was calling me.
Less than 3 minutes later, paramedic Mark Howell and his partner Buster Munson arrived.
Can you hear him?
I hear an ambulance.
I was relieved that the paramedics were there, but I was afraid that he was still out on the loose because he was very determined to go hurt the rest of his family. That's what Martha told me.
Here they come. Yeah, they're coming. They come.
Did you call for an ambulance?
Here I am.
When we walked in, the lady had blood on her arms and all down the front of her shirt. Asked her if she's okay, and she was real hysterical. So we got her to come over and sit on the couch, try to calm her down and see what her injuries were. The bullet entered her hand next to her index fingers and looked to be lodged on the back side of her hand towards her wrist area.
Are you allergic to any drugs that you know of?
No.
Oh, it's very clear that it was a close call on her part in that he was attempting to shoot her in the face, and then just in the last second, she threw her hands up just in self-defense.
What kind of gun did he have, do you know?
I'm probably a little angry at me because I didn't see this better. I think it could have been a lot worse. I'm very thankful that it was just my hand and that it was me instead of Brandon.
On her way to the hospital, Susan flagged down a passing police officer, Tom Payne.
She's been shot. She's been shot.
She stated to me that her daughter had been shot and that she needed to get up there right away, and she wanted me to escort her. She then told me that it was her son who was the suspect on this shooting. She was very adamant that he was an extremely violent person and that any contact with him would be a very serious encounter.
You can drive your car. We're going to let you drive yourself over to the hospital.
Okay.
Okay?
I guess she particularly felt, for some reason, that I would be the one that was going to confront her son. And I never really could understand that, but she kept looking at me right in the eyes and saying, "You're going to have to kill him. You're going to have to kill him."
Payne had been heading to meet Sergeant Debbie O'Neill. Together, they went to Susan's home to look for her son.
We proceeded over to the complex where the mother lived. We drove around the complex for a little while, and we were unable to locate the vehicle that we were looking for. We had received information earlier that the suspect would kill any officer that attempted to apprehend him.
That's him. That's going to be him right there. We stopped the car about 30 feet from where he was in the driveway. We looked at him, he looked at us, and we exited the vehicle and drew our weapons on him, and Sergeant O'Neill commanded him a couple times there to get on the ground, to put his hands up. He looked, he thought.
Don't move! Don't move!
And he got down on the ground and just decided he just didn't want to do what he was thinking about.
620, we've got the suspect.
We were looking at him on the
custody.
ground there, and he just looked over at us and he said, "I just didn't want to die today."
On one hand, I
Appreciate
feel
it.
very grateful that it wasn't a lot worse than it was. But at the same time, we have lost Jimmy. And yet he is still there because Jimmy's still very ill and very angry and still continues to say that when he gets out, there'll be a lot of dead bodies lying around. And we've been told that he means what he says.
Next,
it was like a bomb going off, and somebody yelled that it was the hotel on fire. And at that point, it looked like a war going on.
On the last day of 1986, the plush DuPont Plaza Hotel in San Juan, Puerto Rico was booked to capacity with American tourists. Hundreds of people were packed into the casino on the second floor when tragedy struck. Most of the footage you'll see was taped as a desperate fight for life began.
Because it was New Year's Eve, the casino was closing early. And so I said I was going to go in with some of my friends and play for a while.
John Benevento and his family had come to San Juan to spend Christmas vacation sunning and gambling.
My friend Pat Massaro was on a losing streak, and so we walked out. And as we walked out, a black wall of smoke and flame shot across the staircase, making it impossible to go down that staircase. We backed into the casino.
John was trapped. His wife, Joan, unaware of the fire, had just let their two young children go back up to their hotel room.
I was on the beach faced away from the hotel, and I smelled something very odd. And by the time I got up off the chair and turned around, I couldn't see the first 2 floors of the hotel. There was thick, black smoke, so thick that you just couldn't see the hotel at all. I ran across the beach yelling, "The kids are inside, the kids are in there." And there was nothing I could do. I stood there literally thinking, I'm going to stand here and my children are going to die.
Around 3:40 p.m., the calls for help began to come in. A fire had exploded across the lower floors of the DuPont Plaza, blocking all exits. Hundreds of guests and workers were trapped, including more than 300 in the crowded casino.
In a short period of time, the casino turned into a mob scene. Chaos, people on fire, screaming. Blackjack table stools were starting to fly through the windows. People were tossing them out the windows, see if they could break them. Bodies, people were starting to fling themselves through the windows. So that's when I decided to go out the window. When I landed on the cement, the fire just roared, and when I looked up, I mean, everybody was on fire.
14 fire trucks, more than 100 firefighters, and 35 ambulances responded to the scene.
The front side of the entrance of this hotel was so big, which prevented our ladder truck to reach no higher than the first or second story. That limited us very greatly.
When Puerto Rico's interagency disaster coordinator, Ephraim Amott, arrived on the scene, the fire was burning out of control.
The heavy smoke that was coming out of the hotel was a nauseous and toxic smoke. So toxic that people can die with just by having 2 or 3 respirations.
Flames was all the way up on the wall, up to the 6th or 7th floor.
There was a lot of people still in the building, yelling for help.
Linda and Michael Wolf had left their 2 teenage daughters by the hotel pool just before the fire broke out.
We were in a store, and I started smelling smoke.
We couldn't understand what it was. We didn't know what it was. And somebody yelled that it was the hotel on fire. We ran as fast as our feet would carry us back to the hotel. And at that point, it looked like a war going on. We saw people laying down by the pool, bloody and screaming and crying. And then we looked up and we saw the people at the hotel windows trying to get out. Our minds were on our daughters, and I was praying that for once they didn't listen to me because I had just told them to go upstairs. And that's where we saw an acquaintance of ours. And he told us, oh, yes, he had just seen the girls walking upstairs to the room.
Inside the hotel, people were beginning to panic. The dense smoke funneled up the stairwells and elevator shafts, driving people out to the balconies and up to the roof, including fitness instructors Nick Busey and his wife Bonnie, then 6 months pregnant.
When we got up to the penthouse, we were just hoping to find a way out, to get fresh air. There was a lot of smoke coming up different sides of the building, and what people were trying to do was just hover to one side to the other side as the smoke came up.
While on routine patrol, police helicopter pilot Julio Colon spotted the smoke rising from the hotel.
I saw people coming out to the roof. By that time, I was thinking, those people getting burned in there, and I don't believe I can do anything.
The roof was not built for helicopters. There was not even enough space between the elevator shaft and the edge of the roof for a safe landing.
I started thinking I had to do something. I have to do something, and it has to be now. I was the one who can help them, so I had to try hard, and I did it. I made the landing.
With only a few feet to spare between the blades and the wall, Julio landed precisely on the extreme corner of the roof. Bonnie Busey was among the first 6 women and children taken in this small, overloaded chopper. But with people streaming up to the penthouse at an alarming rate, it would take all night to get them down, and they might not have that much time.
I started calling for help.
Private charter pilot Pat Walters heard the call. He, too, began airlifting people off the roof.
You have smoke coming up, possible visibility being obscured. You have heat thermals coming up, possibly making it a very shaky approach. If you crash, you're going to crash down on the people that are around the fire. You're not going to get far enough away. You're going to go straight down like a rock.
I expected Nick to be right behind me in the next helicopter. 2 or 3 helicopters came in. There was, my husband wasn't there. So I was getting a little bit worried.
Police officer Oscar Araya volunteered to be dropped on the roof to help organize the rescue. There he found Nick Busey.
I saw a guy pulling people from the balcony to the top of the roof and said to him, I need you to help because I was alone and we have too many people up there. He answered right away, okay, no problem. I stay with you. And he gone back and stay pulling people from the balcony to the top of the roof.
It was like God have somebody up in there to help us in the rescue, and that was Nick.
They wouldn't let you go anywhere near the front of the DuPont. There were hundreds of people just lined up, watching the fire, watching what was going on.
I was just beside myself how I can go on without my daughters, not knowing whether they were alive or dead.
When we continue.
All I thought about were my children. Where are they? Were they in an elevator? I was just praying that somebody would find them and help them.
Many people had already been rescued from the hotel, but the fire was still out of control.
On the streets below the hotel, Joan Benevento waited, hoping that her husband and their children were still alive. The injured were brought to a makeshift triage area near the hotel pool.
Most of the victims had respiratory problems because of the smoke. Fractures or some kind of burns.
Among the wounded on the pool lounge chairs, Joan Benevento found her husband, John. Both his legs had been broken when he jumped from the casino window and fell 15 feet to the roof below.
By the time I arrived, he had been told that the kids were inside, and he was just yelling, "God won't take my kids. God, please don't take my kids." He was just beside himself, and I think having to deal with him and try and get him calmed down helped me at least start to move and think again. I saw people being brought down ladders from balcony to balcony. From where I was standing at times, they looked like small people, and I thought, maybe that's them. But as I would watch, it wasn't, and I did not see them at all.
National Guard Colonel Jose Maldonado was the third chopper pilot on the scene.
Our blades were just simply too large to land on top of the building, so what we did is we hovered next to the building, placed the helicopter with one skid on the side of the building, and people jumped onto our helicopter. The smoke columns and the heat columns coming up jolted our helo. Sometimes it would just take us off. The smoke got very thick. I was afraid fire was going to progress through the building.
We stood behind the barriers, and it was probably the longest hour that we've ever spent.
And I happened to just focus my eyes on two girls coming down out of the room. When they were just 3/4 of the way down, it just hit me that it was them.
And at that point, there was no barrier that can stop us. We just tore in, we jumped over the barrier, and we ran over. All four of us were holding on to one another, crying, and just a very joyful reunion. And it was just something that will never, ever go from our mind.
Sandy and Jody Wolf were taken to a nearby hospital and treated for smoke inhalation. Hospitals all over the city were receiving casualties from the fire.
John would not go in an ambulance. He would not go anywhere until he knew something about the kids.
It was totally helplessness for me, not to be able to get up. All I thought about 4 hours were my children. Where are they? Were they upstairs? Were they in an elevator? I was just praying that somebody would find them and help them.
Someone from our group told me that they were bringing the people from the roof down onto the beach. So I went right away back down to where the helicopter was coming in. And I think my heart sank because they were all adults. And my thought was, children would have come down first. If my kids had been up there, they would have been brought down. They weren't on the beach. And then I really didn't know where to turn.
By sundown, 8 choppers were involved in the rescue efforts. But it would soon be dark, and Bonnie Busey had still not heard from her husband, Nick.
Hours were going by and hours were going by, and, there was no Nick. At the beginning of the fire, my biggest concern was me being pregnant and an unborn child.
when I didn't see Nick for a long time, then I think my concern was for him.
It took about 5 hours to extinguish the fire. As soon as I was assured by the firemen that they have confined the fire, I sent people with self-contained breathing apparatus to make sure that nobody was still there desperate and looking for help.
I found the first body almost at the entrance of the lobby. I feel sad, you know, because those people was innocent people that died right there.
It was dark, so I hadn't seen Nick for about 5 hours, and I didn't know where to look. Our friends were staying at a hotel nearby, so I finally got to that hotel. I went inside, and when I walked through the doors, that's when I saw Nick. It was just a very happy moment.
After helping more than 150 other people get off the roof, Nick Busey got into one of the last helicopters himself.
The helicopter rescue was over. There were no more people being brought down.
You're thinking the worst things that imaginable. Now you're thinking of them dead.
When I just had no other places to turn, I thought I saw some movement up in the balconies. And as we came across the street and got a little closer, you could see that, in fact, there were people on a balcony. And a little closer, I could see that someone was carrying someone. A little closer still, and that person was a little person, and then the dark hair, and then I saw that it was Brandon.
7-year-old Brandon Benevento had been kept safe in a 14th floor room by a couple who did not know him.
Someone was holding me back in the crowd because I was trying to get through, and I'm sure they probably thought I was some crazy person. I could see he was okay. Just all of the commotion after all he had been through was very upsetting to him. I was checking to see if I could find Chandra.
Within minutes, 10-year-old Chandra was put into the arms of a waiting friend. Chandra had been kept with her brother by the same couple. Her father was the last to hear.
Somebody came screaming over. They found him. They found him. Kept saying, "Are you sure? Are you positive? It's my children."
I was so happy to see them. It was just an unbelievable moment.
Only when he finally heard that the children were safe would John Benevento allow himself to be transported to a hospital for treatment.
It was probably one of the most happiest moments of my life. To know they'd come out of that building alive.
The next day, the bodies of 98 people were removed from the charred hotel. Arson investigators determined that the fire had been deliberately set. Hotel workers involved in a labor dispute had thrown a lit can of flammable material into an empty storage room. They were subsequently sentenced to life in prison.
There was a lot of gloom. The whole city took it to heart that there was a disaster.
And still, they saved so many lives.
Hundreds of men, women, and children were rescued that day. Nearly half lifted off the roof by helicopter.
Those helicopter pilots were unbelievably tremendous. They were the best that anybody could ever ask for at the time that you needed a pressure person.
In the past 3 years, Nick Busey has gotten many awards for his bravery that New Year's Eve. Within a few months of the fire, Bonnie gave birth to their first child.
When Megan was born, I'd have to say it was probably the happiest moment of our lives.
Our baby was healthy, Bonnie was healthy, which is all I wanted. And thank God things worked out for as many people as it did.
The Benevento family has gone on with their lives, but John lost a lifelong friend, and the fire is still a vivid memory for Brandon and Chandra.
I was scared of death, and I was scared of never seeing my parents again and my friends at school. It was nice that my brother and I were together, though. That was the good part about it. My dad was in the casino, but what I didn't know is if he had escaped. And when I saw him, I was just so happy. I didn't know where he was or anything. I was just so happy to see him.
I think it's been very hard for John. I think what these people in that casino went through, I think he saw some sights that I wouldn't want to see in a movie.
But you look back and could I have saved some of my friends if I didn't run out of there, or would I have died with them? And to this day, I mean, you just miss them.
A lot of times I think of all the people that died in this fire, and I think how lucky I am that I'm not even hurt. I was like, lucky we're alive, all of us.
Next.
I looked in the rearview mirror and saw that Joshua had turned purple. I was panicked, and all I could think about was that he was going to die.
In many parts of the country, the Campfire organization has begun going into schools to teach a self-reliance course for kids called I Can Do It. The idea is that no matter how young you are, you can learn to take care of yourself. On April 24th, 1989, the second graders at the Runnels School in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, were doing just that.
We're going to have another role-play situation that may or may not be an emergency, and you're going to see if you can handle it or not. Can I have a volunteer, please? Yes, would you come up here?
Donna McEnany had come to teach the kids basic first aid techniques as part of that day's session called I Can Handle a Real Emergency.
Coming over here and tapping you on the back, right, when you've choked on something. Or just lift the arm straight up so it goes down smoothly. Just kind of helps give it a ride down.
Children at this age have many fears, and one of them is not knowing how to handle situations, whether they be emergency or just everyday minor situations.
It's the same as what I just saw. Only thing is I don't hear anything, do you? What happens is a piece of food gets caught here, okay, in midway. And so therefore you can't breathe in and you can't breathe out. Okay, I need everybody to stand up, feel their V.
When the child is called upon to role-play the choking situations, the child will act out the choking situation and will also have demonstrated on him or her the Heimlich maneuver.
Stand over on the person, and you're going to come in and out. Now, actually, I didn't do that to Kyle because he's not choking, but I will show you how. It's a one motion, like this. Our next example up here, role play, could you come up here, please?
They let the kids actually experience the situation, and it's just something that we don't often think, but with so many kids at home nowadays without parents there, these are just simple things that the kids really need to know.
Slightly lean your head forward. Very good. And you'll have to hold it for 3 to 5 minutes to stop the bleeding. Okay, when coming across an emergency situation, first of all, you have to be alert and observant as to what's going on during that emergency situation. And if you need to seek help and there's no adult around, what can you do? Call 911. I want everybody to say that, please.
Call 911.
That's right.
Bye, my mom's here.
7-year-old Kyle Wilkinson was picked up after school by his mother, Carol. His 3-year-old twin sister and brother were already in the family van.
I had Joshua and Jessica in the back seat of the car, and Kyle got in the car and started our normal conversation about what had happened that day.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of nutritional food did they teach you to fix?
Ants on a log and celery and peanut butter and raisins.
And you call it ants on a log? Would you fix some for us tonight when we go home?
Yes, ma'am.
Rather than just eating all that candy, right? Much better for you.
Jonathan threw worms on Miss Runnels today.
What?
And when he threw the worms on Miss Runnels,
yeah,
she threw one back and then she gave him a pink slip.
Uh-oh. You better not bring home any pink slips. What happens to you when you get one of these pink slips?
You've got to bring it home and then your mom's got to sign it and you've got to bring it to school.
So it's really big trouble, huh?
Mom, Joshua's choking. Stop the car.
I looked in the rearview mirror and saw that Joshua had turned purple. When I got to the other side of the car, it appeared that Kyle was just holding Joshua, and I wanted him to give him to me.
What are you doing?
I was panicked, and all I could think about was that he was going to die.
I felt like I knew the right thing to do and she didn't.
You're hurting him.
No, Mom, I know what I'm doing. Give it from me. Give it to me.
I wanted to do something for him, which probably would have killed him.
Oh, my God. Kyle!
About that time, this piece of candy just popped out of Joshua's mouth. He started breathing, and he was fine.
I was surprised because everything worked out and all.
Within 3 hours of being taught how to do the Heimlich maneuver, Kyle had to use it to save his little brother's life.
And what's even more fantastic is that not only did the child learn it, but he also knew his mother did not know how to do it, and he took the situation into his own hands.
When teaching this particular course now, I utilize Kyle as a role model, and the children can relate to that so much to find out that another 7 or 8 year old, just like them, has been able to actually use this and rescue and make a difference in life and death situation. It makes me feel glad because he's still alive and all, and I still get to play with him and all.
Whoa, bring it back here. Right here. Come on, that boy. Good boy. Whoa, get it, Josh.
I'm really proud of Kyle, not just because he saved Joshua's life, but because he has shown other children and other people that you can do something like this, that you can help. I was so grateful that Camp Fire had taught Kyle the Heimlich maneuver that I wanted to praise them. I wanted them to know that they had done something useful, something I really needed, something that everybody needs.
Next.
Joanna was not the type of child to not check in. So I knew that something was wrong and was very, very worried.
On July 31st, 1987, in a suburb of Richmond, Virginia, 8-year-old Joanna Chinnis disappeared. Joanna and the man at the lake that day are portrayed by actors, but the rest of the people involved have returned to help us tell her story.
I think from the beginning, it was like being in a bad dream. Everything seemed to be in slow motion.
It was a beautiful day, and Joanna Chinnis wanted to go fishing. She was new in the neighborhood, so she went by herself to the lake behind her house.
Joanna was not the type of child to not check in. She's always really good about checking in. I didn't have to worry about her whereabouts. So I knew by 3 o'clock that something, was possibly wrong and was very, very worried.
When Joanna didn't return, the Chinnis family began searching the neighborhood for her. But what Cindy and Carl Chinnis didn't know was that there was a stranger around the lake that day. Around 8 p.m., they called the police and reported Joanna missing.
Chesterfield Emergency Services, Walpole.
I'd like to report my 8-year-old daughter is missing. Cindy and I kept looking at each other and not believing it.
The Chesterfield police arrived within 10 minutes and were quickly joined by search and rescue squads, concerned neighbors, and special search dogs.
And about 15 minutes later, Special Task Force with the dogs had come to the house, and by that time I know there was at least 6 or 7 patrol cars out front.
Nearly 100 people began searching for Joanna, concentrating on the lake where she had gone fishing. Rescue workers feared she might have gotten hurt, fallen in the lake, and drowned.
They had brought in a dog that could sniff the top of the water for human scent. I knew she wasn't in the lake. I wouldn't accept it.
The police told Cindy and Carl to stay home and wait in case Joanna called.
I was scared.
We both sort of hugged each other and said, God, you know, don't let anybody hurt Joanna.
That was a long night. It was a long night for everybody. We were very grateful as far as the response of all the neighbors in the community that came out and stayed out all night.
At 3 a.m., exhausted by 7 hours of searching the lake area, the rescue teams broke off their efforts for the night. No one had found any sign of Joanna beyond the street where her scent disappeared.
If you call it a premonition, I think that's what it was, of seeing Joanna just panicking in a car, in an automobile. So I took it that, you know, I accepted the fact that she had been abducted, that somebody did take her.
Imagine that was hard. You know, I told her, you know, don't say any more. I couldn't stand it.
At 6:30 a.m., more than 200 people and dogs began to search again, this time over a much wider area. Joanna had been missing for more than 15 hours.
Okay, what I'm going to do now is just give y'all a general strategy of the areas we're covering and then break you down and show you the individual tasks. And we're going to have you pick your own field team from the groups of neighbors that are around. We have searcher information sheets being run up now, so we'll have pictures for you all to take with you on your task momentarily.
Emergency medical technician Gene Harris was in charge of one search team.
We continued to search throughout the morning. We had no luck at all, no clues, nothing at all that indicated that a young child had passed through the area. And at that point, we were looking for an abduction victim. Brooks and her dog and Greg Peck went out to the Cornerstone Church area, and Beth and her dog and I went on a parallel grid to her in a lower swampy area.
It was beginning to get dark when Brooks' dog, Buster, picked up a scent.
Good girl.
I heard Brooks yelling over the radio, status 2, which to us means I've found a victim and I need medical assistance.
After 28 hours, Joanna was found lying in the woods, less than 2 miles from home.
It was like being in a football stadium when somebody just made a touchdown. It was a big roar, and it was just a complete, you know, relief that she had been found because the nightmare was over. It was finally over.
But it wasn't over. Joanna was barely conscious and bloody from 3 stab wounds in her chest and 1 in her neck. They rushed to get her medical attention.
What do you got? Got chest wound here.
Okay.
Yeah?
Hold her just a second.
Okay,
Let's see what we got.
Let's don't wait. Let's get going. Okay, we got 3 new chests.
At that point, she was holding on to my hand and just wouldn't let go. It was just squeezing as hard as she could.
Okay, you can be all right now. You're inside an ambulance. It's all over with. Just relax. Everything's okay.
For a while there, it was touch and go. We weren't really sure in the ambulance just exactly what the total extent of her injuries were.
When I saw her, she looked so frail. I was afraid that she was going to die. I can't explain the way she looked. I just grabbed her hand, and I told her I was so glad that we found her. She was going to be all right. And she said, Mom, don't cry.
She was very, very weak. And, I remember it felt so good.
touched her hand. And that tiny hand, in my hand, it felt so good.
Joanna was able to give the police a detailed description of her attacker. The man had seemed nice. He took her in his car to go fishing someplace better, then strangled her and stabbed her 4 times, leaving her for dead. 2 days later, a man matching the description was arrested less than 10 miles away. He pleaded guilty to the abduction and attempted murder of Joanna Chinnis and was sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms in prison. A year and a half after the incident, Joanna is fully recovered from the wounds she suffered in the attack.
She was a very lucky girl. The only severe damage was to the lung that was collapsed. The arteries in the neck were missed, the arteries in the chest were missed, the heart was missed. She's just lucky to be alive.
Basically, I would say be careful and let your children know that talking just to anyone that they've never seen before is very, very dangerous.
Recently, Joanna met Buster, the dog who rescued her, for the first time since that day.
I think that the dog that saved me was a wonderful dog, and that he should be treated like, have a lot of treats or something.
We don't use the term lucky in Joanna's case because there's nothing near luck. It's more of a miracle.
I get a lot of kisses from dogs.
Not every community has 911, so local emergency numbers should be posted at every phone, and children should be taught how to use them. This series is dedicated to the real heroes who answer our calls for help and risk their lives to save the life of a stranger. I'm William Shatner. Join me next week for more true stories on Rescue 911.